Let me ask you something. Are you getting everything out of your rent-to-own business? If you're not an A-Pro member, then the answer is probably no. Look, advocacy is A-Pro's bread and butter. This is why they were created and what they do best. But here's the thing. A-Pro membership is about way more than advocacy. A-Pro connects you to the movers and the shakers of the industry. People who've been there, done that, and they can help you do it even better. A-Pro's monthly webinars give you expert insights and actionable takeaways. It's like having a masterclass for your business every single month. Got questions about complex regulations or sticky situations? No problem. A-Pro's legal hotline gives you direct access to experts who have got the answers. That's a peace of mind that you can't put a price on. And let's not forget the resources, news, updates, and tools that keep you ahead of the curve. Scholarships for your team? Check. Disaster relief when you need it most? Double check. A-Pro is your ultimate support system in the rent-to-own world. So stop settling for less. With A-Pro, members get more. More support, more connections, and more success. Head over to rtohq.org and join the A-Pro family today. Because in this business, more isn't just better. It's essential. See you at the top with A-Pro. Hello and welcome, everyone. Here at the RTO Show, we're proud to have A-Pro as our premier podcast sponsor. A-Pro's always had its finger on the pulse of America's rent-to-own industry, including up-to-the-minute news and information, fun and valuable events, and even its legal hotline. A-Pro knows what's going on in the rental industry and how to help you navigate it. Don't miss A-Pro's Best of RTO World webinar coming up on Tuesday, October 10th. Learn more and register today at rtohq.org. That's rtohq.org. And now to the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the RTO Show. Today, we're talking rent-to-own with Jason Winters, now a former Impact Holdings DM.
Right. Yes. So, formerly of Impact RTO.
Now, when we say former, we mean like very recently with 23 years of experience?
Yep, 23 years. I started in 2000, so it's pretty easy to keep track of. It's 2023, and I started in 2000. So,
so the switch over. So when you started back then, that was a corporate.
Yep, corporate rent-a-center. Before I went to rent-a-center, I was working 3 jobs. Whenever I had a day off, it's when I slept, basically.
Yeah.
But then the rent-a-center opportunity came along, and they were paying a pretty good wage back in 2000. It was $13 an hour.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that. When I came on, it was $13 an hour.
Yeah. You know, it's funny how many people I talked to, they came at that exact time. So they decided to invest in some upfront pay for people, right? And then they got some good people. Paul Mativier also, who I know you've talked to recently. I think he came along when they were paying that. It was $13 an hour, 48 hours a week.
Yes.
I was a driver. And back then you used to have to wear the white shirt and tie to do deliveries in the black pants, right?
Yes. You know, a lot of people don't understand that now. When I feel so old because sometimes when I tell people that, they're like, "Oh, who does that?" And I'm like, "No, you don't understand. We were shirt and tie in the back of a truck in the Florida heat every day, every day.
The rookie mark down the back of your shirt from the lift gate. Yeah,
you remember that wire that came down?
Yep, that black mark, the cable.
I think everybody knew at one point in time you were going to lose a shirt to that thing.
Yeah.
You was going to lose a shirt to that thing. So you've been doing it for 23 years. And one of the things that I noticed is you've been an RM, right? So you're regional, right? So you have a multiple set of stores between 7 and 10, right? Usually,
Rent-A-Center calls them a district manager.
They are district, okay.
Yeah. Impact calls them regional managers, but basically you're managing between 7 to 10 stores. Now I think Rent-A-Center corporate is doing quite a few more stores. I think they've got 14, 15 stores per district right now.
What do you think about that? Like, how do you think, because I was talking to Paul, and he says, actually, fewer seems a little bit better. And I kind of agree.
Well, Impact made the decision to kind of go the opposite direction, and have fewer locations. And I support that because you're going to be a lot more present in your 6 stores or 7 stores than you would be in your 15. Now, there's other tools that they have available on the corporate side that the mothership kind of provides that, they have, a lot more reporting accessibility, and they think that they just have a few more things that they can use at their disposal than a franchisee or a mom and pop type place. But I mean, it seems to be working for them too. So I don't know. It's up in the air, but the theory is the 6 stores you shouldn't really have problems for too long, right? Like you should be able to kind of ferret
Right.
stuff out and figure out what's going on and get it going in the right direction pretty quickly.
I feel like you're phoning it in with that many. You're calling, because I mean, think about it. If you even talk to one of them per day, that's 14 calls that you have to make. You have no idea how long you'll be on the phone, because one guy could be on it and you get through it, and you have 3 guys that don't. It take 15, 20, 30 minutes a phone call. By the end of the day, I mean, how much can you really accomplish with your guys as far as training and understanding their store location versus another? Because 14 stores are spread out for a while.
Yeah,
I mean, you're
that's a
talking
big
about
area.
distance.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I know Anthony Blasquez. He's a very smart guy, and the people over there are very smart people. So I'm sure that they've got it figured out. You'd probably have to be pretty good, right? You'd be able to manage
Really
that
good.
many
yeah.
staffs and issues and personalities and everything else that's going to go into that. It's going to be tough, but they're figuring it out and getting it done. I mean, a lot of times the big dogs are doing it. They're not doing it for no reason, right?
Right. Well, they're making the big dollars, so
Right,
they're doing
exactly.
something right.
Exactly. But I do believe in the theory of being present in your stores, and there really is little excuse. If you've got 6 stores and you're struggling in a couple of them, be there, right?
Right.
And then kind of run the other 2 or 3 remotely, 4 or 5 remotely. If you're there and you're actually dialing into what the issue is and adding value to the team while you're there, you should be able to knock out and really kind of go forward and develop some pretty cool people, right? At the same time, like
Yes.
you got a lot of time
Yes.
to sit there, give your knowledge to them and make sure that they're applying it properly and maybe help them avoid a few potholes that hit you on the way by, right?
Yeah,
So-
well, actually, that's what the topic for today is leadership development, because out of all the years that you've been doing it, 10 different people have made it to the regional or division level, multi-unit, in other
Right.
words. And how long have you been doing the DM part? That's been about, 13, 14 years is more?
back then when I came here and I left my 3 jobs to get to the one, right? It was because I could support my family on the one, right? It was
Right.
48 hours a week, 8 hours of overtime, right? So, and the other thing that was attractive to me at the time was the schedule. I didn't have to come in until 12. Right, 12 o'clock to 8, and it was all deliveries basically. You know, I had a route, but we called the route on the big green route books and
The green bar.
highlighting it.
Yep.
Yeah, oh yeah, man. And we learned the account management piece along with the delivery piece, but mostly we were doing the deliveries from 12 to 8. So I liked to party, and I had been working 3 jobs for quite some time, and I was like, man, I could go out all night and be at work by noon, no problem. Get out at 8, just in time to do it all over again. This is awesome, right? But then after a while, I was there for about 6, 8 months and I see this smooth guy show up in a suit. And he kind of, I had a pretty nice car. I think it was a Lincoln. I was like, oh, it's this guy. And he came into the store and was talking to the manager. And I looked over to the other driver, the assistant manager I was with, and said, hey, man, who's that guy? And, that's the district manager. It's the district manager. What's he do? He looks like he does all right for himself, man. He's driving nice cars, got some nice clothes on. He's like, yeah, man, that guy's like, he's balling. He's making like $100,000. I'm like, what? You're kidding me.
Right. And then back in the day, it was like,
That was life-changing money to me at the time. Like because I had my life happened to me real early, right? I had a lot of curved balls and stuff thrown at me when I was young. I was like, so what do I got to do to become that guy? Well, first you got to, maybe become an assistant manager and then maybe a store manager after that. And then you're him. I'm like, whoa. I just got to be
that's oversimplifying.
I
but
got to
yes.
be Johnny, who wouldn't trust to make me a sandwich. Then I got to be this guy. And then if I do good at those two, I get to be that guy driving that nice car in that suit. He's like, yeah. I was like, all right. So about 8 months later, I was a store manager. In the time, I ran 9 different locations as a store manager.
Wow.
My boss moved me around quite a bit. He would send me to the fire. I was a firefighter. Like if this store would kind of go out of whack, I would go there, figure it out, build the people up. And it was really awesome. At the time, I hated it. My wife hated it because sometimes the store was an hour away for less pay. And, I just kept telling her, just like, hold on, we just gotta, I'm not doing this for this. I'm doing it for the next one. Right. So, but it was painful at times, but I got to run the store in the country and I got to run the store in the hood and I got to run the store down, you know what I mean? Like that was just opening and I got to run the old big store that, the manager before was awesome and everybody loved him and not him and they hate me.
Yes.
Like I went through every single kind of scenario, which really ended up preparing me very well for the next level, right? But during that, I learned that when I invested my because I didn't want to be at some of these places very long, right? So I knew I had to get the next person kind of ready to go. So there's only a certain amount of things you got to learn. There's only a certain amount of questions to ask. And you just got to create an environment where people aren't afraid to ask a question or make a mistake. If you make that very safe and you just constantly are pouring yourself into people, Paul likes to call the emotional bank account. Right? You got to make a lot of deposits into somebody's emotional bank account before you can start making withdrawals. And hopefully you don't make a lot of withdrawals, but everyone screws up. Everyone says the wrong thing. Everyone gets upset. Everybody gets, out of pocket or gets sick, and they need you to step up for them. And I found that it was a lot easier to get that out of people that I was giving them the knowledge that they needed to get their job done. And I got the added benefit that they were a lot more useful to me as the manager of the store. Hey man, go receive in that truck. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Just so-and-so is on the phone. You know what to do, right? The more you get the people around you on your level, and it's quick, everything just runs smoother. And then the next thing you know, they're getting promoted. And the next best piece of advice I could give somebody is don't be afraid to lose your best guy. Make that your motivation. Like, a lot of people try to hold people back for their own convenience, and just because they don't want to lose their best guy, their best guy that quietly runs the store. I mean, I was never afraid to lose my best guy. I wanted my best guy in the store next door, so that if I needed that Xbox 360, I was going to get it that day. I was going to get that sale because he was going to give it up because he owed me. You know what I mean? Because I invested in his emotional bank account.
Not only emotional bank account, his regular bank account. I mean, stepping somebody up means that they get to move up the career and move up in earnings as well.
Yeah. I just learned that a long time, people, like, you have to bend down to hold people down.
Yeah.
Yep. You got to hold, if you're holding heads down below you, you're not going as high as you can go.
Yes.
And I just learned that very early, and it's paid off time after time. And like I said, 10 people went on to become district managers, right? I can't take credit for their accomplishment, and I can't, say, oh, it was because of me. I'm just so awesome. It was more like I was the common denominator, and I like to think that I contributed to their success. I think that they would say that I contributed in some way. Now, maybe I was their 11th grade teacher. You know what I mean? And I wasn't, everybody has a lot of bosses. Some bosses you get, it was because you learn what not to do, right? And maybe they learned some of that from me as well.
Yes.
But we all learned it. We all learned together. But at the end of the day, these 10 people that used to work for me or with me, that went on to become district managers. That is my proudest accomplishment after all these years.
That's a big accomplishment, though.
Right.
That's a big accomplishment. Like, do you think that we as an industry do not shuffle people around enough anymore? Because I did see it a lot back then, because I actually did the same thing. Now, I didn't do 9. I was about 6. But I was moved around a lot. Like, it could be 8 months, could be a year, could be 18 months, and then boom, you're somewhere else. And then boom, you're somewhere else. So the 7 years that I did at Rent-A-Center, I did it in several locations quite a few times. But I don't see that as much anymore. Now, I'm not saying that we don't do it as an industry. I haven't seen it that much. Have you seen it? Have we gone away from it? And was that a good contributing factor to somebody being more well-rounded?
Let's take a quick break.
Hey everyone, it's Pete Shau here from the RTO Show Podcast, and I want to tell you about a company that's making a real difference in the rent-to-own space. Wow Brands. I've seen firsthand how they approach marketing. And let me tell you, it's not just about ads. Wow Brands builds complete digital ecosystems designed specifically for the rent-to-own industry. Their e-commerce and lead generation strategies are built to bring in qualified leads. And did I mention that they are actively working with the rent-to-own industry while also being members of APRO and TRIB? Listen, these folks are passionate problem solvers. They don't just slap something together. They design, build, and scale the kind of digital retail tools your business needs and your customers actually want. So if you're serious about growing, reach out to Wow Brands at wowbrands.com. I trust them, and I think you will too.
I would say, you can argue both sides. You know what I'm saying? Like when you get a dream team put together, it's tough to suggest that maybe so-and-so should go spread that somewhere else, right? Like, but the main thing is it's like a family tree, right? Like Daniel, my most recent protege up in Jacksonville, right? Like he got to be promoted because he ran a fantastic location, right? And the biggest thing you want to do when you have a fantastic location in your district is spread that, like little seedlings of that around to the other stores, right? Yeah. Because those other stores see the numbers, and I make sure they see the numbers, and they see them in the context that I want them to see them in, so that they know this store is doing it right. If I want to know how to do it right, I should probably maybe go see what's going on over there. Like, cross training is fantastic. 99% of the time, people got blinders on and they walk into their own store and they walk right by everything. They don't see what's really going on. But if you put them into another store for 5 minutes, oh, that guy's not calling credit. Oh, that guy, he doesn't know how to talk to customers. Yeah. Like, they know, like, immediately, right? So spreading, maybe not transferring people around, but definitely getting people out of their comfort zone and into another location. They start to see, yeah, man, I'm doing this back at my store too. Like, I really got to stop this because this is where it could head, get me to. But yeah, I think moving people around, I don't think it's bad. I just think that you're constantly tinkering with your staff to find the yins to the yangs and make sure that there's a good credit person or collections person and a good salesperson at the same time. You get a store full of collection people, they'll collect you down to nothing in a hurry.
Yes, I'm actually dealing with that right now.
It happens.
So besides people that are just doing very well, because I mean, you obviously want to pick from the people who are doing it right, but is there any, so to speak, attributes, leadership skills, abilities that they have that are predisposed to them that makes you go, not just that you're doing well, but like you have something else that I think is going to give you the ability to be a good multi-unit manager?
I'd tell you, I'd take a Dixie cup full of give a crap more than a gallon of schooling and knowledge and stuff like that. Like, someone who gives a damn, that's everything. You have to care. Like, if you don't care enough to get those last few payments or get those couple extra sales, that you're just going to tread water. You're going to hang out. You're going to be the same size. I mean, the manager of the store is everything in the location. The bad news is that, and this is the bad news, everybody does the minimum. Some people go above and beyond sometimes. Some people going above and beyond all the time. The bad news is everybody does the minimum to not get fired. But the good news is you, as the leader of the store, you as a district manager, get to decide what that minimum is. So if your minimum is a dirty store and bad prices and you don't really put a lot of time into your people, but all they got to do is show up in some form of dress and, looking like however, like that, all that stuff is okay with you, then that's what you're going to get. You're not going to get any more than that. You have to raise the bar and you have to set a good minimum, right? We're going to be here on time, just to respect each other's time. We're going to show up looking like we're on the same team, right? We're going to show up and we're going to do the job that we're here to do, and we're going to help each other all day long. You know what I mean? And if you're not going to do that, then not going to be here.
You're not going to be on this team,
not
right?
Very much, right? Okay. It's addition by subtraction. Every store is a rowboat. You got everybody rowing in the same direction. 5 people. You got one lazy ass in the back that's got his oar dragging in the water, spinning you in circles. Like, you got to kick them overboard. You got to. It's to the people on the top to hold the people on the bottom accountable. You know what I mean? Like, you're never going to go any further. If everybody can look around and go, well, that guy's still here, so I'm good.
Right.
Unfortunately, that you can't have that, right? Like, you just can't. But I'd say the attribute that I look for from most is they care. They care about their people. They care about their results. They care about their name. They care about, what they produce with a company and the parts that they play. You know what I mean? And if they don't, they're just going to be some spot filler. You know what I mean? As long as they can row in the right direction.
So multi-unit is a completely different managerial ball game than a general manager, right? Like you said, 4 walls. You come in, you manage your 4 walls. And what's crazy is when Danny and I first started out, Danny actually used to be my DM. And he would come in, he would talk to me, and we would talk about different things. And for many a conversation I had, Dan, I have no idea what's going on in that store. Like, I got 4 walls, and whether they're doing good or not, I only want to know where my name is on the list and how well I'm doing. And he really kind of helped me see that it was a bigger playing field, right? So I think that's kind of helped me get here. But I was like that. I was like 4 walls, man. I've got 4 walls. There's a door on that one, and there's a door on that one. You can either come in that one or you can go out that one.
Right.
And so I think I managed it really well. Well, come to find out, multi-unit like woke me up, like wake up, like a fish in the face. You know, like, oh, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa.
I describe I describe it to people like have you ever seen on like the oldie time TV shows where the guy would be spinning plates on sticks?
Yes.
So you get the plate on top of the stick and you start spinning. You're spinning as hard as you can, so it's spinning real fast. And then you go to the next one and you get another one going. You get another one going. But the only problem with this job is that the plates are 40 miles away from each other. And you got to start no matter how hard you spin it, it's going to start wobbling at some point. You got to be there to kind of just catch it and go, before it crashes on the ground.
Right.
And just put a little more love into it, put a little more time into it. And everybody pays usually in a multi-unit situation, they split your salary, right? So you're really working for them. You're a spot on their P&L. Believe me, I hear about it. When we would go over the P&L, I was like,
yeah, it is what it is.
Right.
So how do you prepare a GM that you know, okay, this guy's probably the next guy. He's doing a great job, right? So you're having your advisory from above and you're looking for the next guy. And they're like, hey, Jason, you've promoted these guys. He's probably going to be one of the next guys. How do you get that GM to go, drop the 4 walls, and this is going to help you be successful? What direction do you point them in? And how does that really look like?
Well, first of all, the good thing about a good manager is that their store is usually going to run without them sitting in it all day. Otherwise, it wouldn't be even worth considering, right? Like if you can't be out for a couple of days helping me at a different location or mentoring a struggling store manager or a brand new store manager, then your operation's probably not going to be strong enough to run for you after you get promoted either, right? So the whole thing is it also helps them kind of stand out and show they're like, yeah, you know, he's always out. He's doing audits. He's helping me with this visit or that visit. You know what I mean? And we work together, or we can be in 2 places at one time. You know what I mean? And communicate all day. Well, what do you think? What do you see? Why don't you ask him this or show him that, or, you know what I mean? Tell him what you do. Most of the time, the good thing about that too is that the managers usually will accept that a lot more from the top performance store manager than the district manager, right? There's a theory, and you have to work really hard when you move up the ladder, right? Like, because there's a perception out there that the further away from the store you get, the more full of crap you get. A lot of times I've had every kind of boss, I've had every kind of visit, and I know that the really, really good ones could walk into a store right now, open it, call a route, call credit, you know, take care of a customer that walks in, switch out a loan, or find them an item they're looking for. The really, really good ones are going to be able to do that anytime. You know what I mean? They're going to be able to pitch in. They're going to be able to lead by example and keep up to speed with the tools they're using. It's really hard. You know what I mean? You can say that there's some positions that's not that important, but the swoop and poop mentality of some of these big wigs will come in. Oh, well, I've been here for 5 minutes and I'm so awesome at this. I know that you're doing this wrong, and now that's your only problem. So, hey, you're welcome. And then they leave and they got no idea of what's really happening in the location. I just wanted to make sure. I had those swoop and poop visits come sometimes. I just never wanted to be that guy. You know what I mean? I never wanted to be the one that just, I know everything. This is what your problem is. All right. All you wait to do is fix it. It's just this. Why don't you try that? Thank you're welcome. And then they leave. Like, that doesn't, who gets anything out of that? But the best part about the mentoring thing that I would do is I would say, you know, when I run my district, I make it, you're on blast. Your performance is on blast. Now everybody can read reports. But I make them a little different, where you're ranked every day, top to bottom, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, however long it goes. And this is where you're at. And up here, good things are happening to people. They're getting promoted. They're getting the days off they want. That's where you want to be. In the middle, all right, you know, you're getting there. You could get to come back tomorrow. That's cool. And on the bottom, you can visit, but you can't live there. Right? You just can't, because I got to get in there and I got to find out, okay, what's the issue? What's the problem? Anytime you walk into a store and you want to find out what the problem is, make a list of the things that it's not. Is it because they don't care? Okay, well then stop digging. That's it. Or, okay, no, they care. All right, cool. Are they making their calls? Are they calling at the time they're supposed to call? Nope, that's it. Okay, great. You got to keep digging. You got to keep finding. You got to go down until you reach something that either isn't happening or could be better or something like that. And say, all right, man, try this. You know what? I made a mistake like that. I understand. Just do this for me. See if it works. Try it out. You know what I mean? We already tried what you're doing. So obviously, but my job is to get those people to the middle, to front. And I'd never expect anybody to get from the bottom to the top next week, right? Like you got it. If you set that kind of goal, you might as well, you're not going to get anywhere.
And now a word from our sponsor. Vox Pop Uli is the best graphics production agency in rent-to-own, offering turnkey service from design production through fulfillment. They offer printing and production, catalogs, and a ton of creative services. Andrew and Siji Hadjic have the knowledge and experience of working with rent-to-own for years, and they make it easy to get your brand recognized and utilized. You can contact them at 770-476-5112 or visit them online at vox-pop-uli.com. And now, back to the show.
Sometimes when someone's way off their credit standard, I don't know what you guys do, but what I do is you got to beat last week, man. You got to find out what was last Friday. All right, where'd you close at? Where'd you open at? What was this at? All right, can you beat this? We will talk about the standard when we can get it there, but I need you to at least show me some improvement week over week, because I just need you to out hustle the person. If you're in 8th place, I need you to out hustle the person in 7th place. Let's worry about that. Let's outwork them. Then we get up to the next one, and you can just climb all the way to the top and just think about how awesome it's going to feel when you're up at number 1, looking down at all these people that were looking down at you. And then if you can foster that by moving their goalposts just a little bit closer. Hey man, can you kill a percent today? Give me a percent of those reds. Just one. All right. If you do that, we're going to high five each other at the end of the day, even though you're higher than giraffe ass. We're going to celebrate that you moved that percent, right? And we're going to make sure that you go home feeling like you got it done. And then tomorrow we're going to try it again. And then we're going to go a little bit harder. We're going to go a little bit harder. You got to nurture that stuff. You got to bring them out of it. And then there's the people that just won't, just flat out won't. They're in the back of the boat, just spinning me in circles. I mean, if you don't care enough to get your name out of the mud from here to here, I'm not going to put my name down here in the mud with you. Like, I'm going to do everything in my power. I'm going to give you every bit of knowledge I have. I'm going to give you every trick I ever learned. I'm going to try everything I possibly can to get you to go where we need to go, because we're both going to win when you do. But if we don't, I can't wait forever. And I owe it to the people on your team, and I owe it to the people in my district to not have you weighing us down. You know what I mean? And maybe you'd be better in this. And maybe, look, they got promoted to a manager somehow, right? Maybe they were a great sales manager. Maybe many great districts are great store managers, but weren't great districts. And that's okay. Because you can make a great living as a store manager. Have your 4 walls like you talked about.
Right. Well, if you have a successful store, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sure. It's the best. There's nothing better than that.
So you sound like you got it done. You sound like you've been doing this for a long time, right? For sure.
Yeah.
So what would you say Jason's top 3 strengths are? Because you seem to have an idea of how you run it. You seem to have an idea of exactly the way you want to structure it so that you can point out the flaws, get those fixed, train, empower. What are your 3 in your mind, in your heart of hearts? What is your 3 top?
I guess if I had to put it out like that, I would say I can make information easy to digest. I have a joke or a story, a funny story, or something that gets a point across in this business, or it's usually a mistake or a time that I did it wrong, right? 99% of the time, it's some way that I screwed up. It's something that I did that was stupid, right? And then the bad fallout that came from that, or how much I suffered while it was going on. And I usually, if there's a new thing that comes along, I can usually sell it. Like, I can usually sell the benefit of it. There's a book out there called Start With Why by Simon Sinek.
Simon Sinek. Yeah. I love that guy.
Yeah. start with why you got to know what motivates everybody, right? And I think I have a knack for figuring out why someone does what they do and what levers I have to pull to try to get them to feel themselves that they got to do whatever I'm trying to get them to do. And if they trust you, and they have to build that trust, like they know that I have their best interests at heart. Like, I'm here to help you. I'm getting paid. On the bottom of my paycheck, it has a 4 line. And it doesn't say missing standards and not selling and everything.
Right.
What my 4 line now says, help the store managers be successful. And that's what I get paid to do. You're part of your budget is to coming into my pocket and my family so that I can come in here and give you every bit of knowledge that I have to help you get to the highest possible place that you can get. And I'd say just being able to bring out of people their best comes from knowledge, just making sure that they understand that they're safe. They can make a mistake. They can try stuff out. You know what I mean? And not get in trouble, right? There's no mistake that we can't fix. There's probably no mistake that you could even make that I didn't make twice. And it's okay. You know what I mean? You're not going to get in trouble. I might say, hey man, next time, maybe don't do that, right?
Warning shot.
Let's try it next time you're in this scenario. But if you lead with your gut and you know what the right thing is, right? And you got to do the right thing. And if you'll never get in trouble for doing the right thing. If you thought it was the right thing, you can justify the fact, hey, this is what I thought I should have done in that scenario. All right, well, next time, I think there's a better way, right? And you can do that. But as far as my 3 best strengths, it's really tough to list them, but I'd say that I can kind of conversate and make people feel at ease and make people feel safe enough to open up, tell me what the problem really is. You know what I mean? And then also just get information and find a way to trigger that thing inside of that person. Cause I can't do anything on a visit that they're going to have to do 7 days a week after that, or 6 days a week after that. They have to want to do it. I have to figure out how they are ticking. You know what I mean? Some guy, like one of my mentors, Michael Drawn, who promoted me to district manager the first time, he taught me that. He said he had a guy that he couldn't figure out. You know, he'd shout him out. That didn't work. And give him some money. That didn't work. He knew the guy liked fishing. All right. So he bought the nice fishing pole that he went to the bait shop, and he bought a nice fishing pole and like nice reel and everything. He brought it to the guy and he put it in the corner of his office. He said, I'll tell you what, it's not yours yet, but you can have it. When you get ... and ... and this number and that metric, that's yours. And man, just like that.
No kidding.
He wanted that fishing pole, man. And I learned that, and I just always remembered that lesson. I learned a lot from that, man. That guy was one of the best bosses.
Do you know, I actually used to work for Michael Drawn back in the day.
Oh,
now, of course,
God.
He had like half the state of Florida, or pretty much the whole state of Florida, right? But, you know, there were several times when he came in and, you know, I was a knucklehead when I was young, man. I did some stuff that really kind of I probably shouldn't have. And I remember at the time we were Renter's Choice. It was right before we had acquired Rent-A-Center. And yeah, we had some sit down conversations, and at the end of the conversation, I was like, God, how did I not see that? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I just, you know, and it wasn't a bad thing. I never took it as a beat down. I mean, he just kind of showed me something, and I was like, this is the other side of that coin. And it was just like, but I, you know, and I had seen him for several years after that. He kind of set me straight in a way that was, you know, not like, hey, you're just completely effing this up, but it's like, look, this is the other side of the coin, right? There was. I mean, he didn't pull much money punches, but you know, he just kind of let me see, like, this is why we're doing this. This is where we're trying to get with this. This is the idea of the whole point of getting your credit down, or getting the sales, or, you know, having customers that'll actually come back, and you're not just, you know, beating them up when you pick them up, you know, because I was that guy. I'm not going to lie. You know, back in the day, I was really all about a number, and he really kind of got me to see there are people attached to that number. Right. And so, you know, repeat business is a big part of what we do. And if you kill the repeat business in a few months, you're going to see that there's no repeat business. And it really opened my eyes to a lot of things. So he was, is he doing this anymore?
No, I've not. I've not been able to keep up with them since he left the company. I wish I could, to be honest with you. He's a guy that I really made a lot to me. He made a lot of difference in my life. You know what I mean? And that was the one thing he always used to tell us was that he didn't want us to just be good district managers. He wanted us to be good people. Right. So I was a mess. Like, you know what I mean? Like even though I had made it to district manager, one time he would send us, like he sent me to a Franklin Covey time management seminar. And I'm going to tell you how bad I needed this thing. I showed up to this seminar with one black shoe and one brown shoe on. So I used to buy like the same shoes in black and brown, right? And I would when I looked down, I was in the middle of this thing, like we're doing our little exercises and this and that, and I'm a participant. And I just looked down and I see that one shoe is black and one shoe is brown. And I was like, man, I need to be here.
I need to be here more than I thought I did.
Right? I really needed to be there. And I learned a lot in that seminar, actually. He didn't have to do that. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a company thing. Like he ponied up the money to help invest in me to make sure that I got better at that. That was the thing that I had to get better at. And he figured out a way to make it happen. So that guy was awesome.
Now, in all these years, in these 23 years, would you consider him to be the mentor that you had, or was there somebody else that kind of also led the way to help you get into where you are?
I'll tell you, I learned a little bit from everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's stuff that I learned that I could never. You'd be lucky. Like that was like the thing I told you. Like these 10 people, they weren't all working for me when they got promoted. Maybe like the next guy got the promotion, right? But you go through life and you learn a lot. Like I've worked for every different kind of boss. There's the kind of boss that if there's a ditch to be dug and there's 5 shovels and there's 5 of you with him, you know, there's one that's going to grab that shovel and they're going to dig just as hard as, you know, as the rest of you, if not harder, right? Just to kind of show and lead by example. Then there's the boss that'll grab his shovel and then walk behind you and wave it over your head, getting ready to smack the guy that's not shoveling it fast enough, right? I've had the boss that it was like living in a POW camp. Every once in a while, he would pick one of us to pull out of the cage and beat the heck out of us in front of everybody else. And we were just happy it wasn't us that day, right? Yep. So, but I learned from those guys too. You know what I mean? Like I learned not to do that in some cases, or I did learn, you know, little bits of pieces of because nobody got those positions just because, you know, it was a popularity contest. They usually brought some money to the table, or they brought some success to the people that worked with them. So I would be really hard pressed to put anybody other than Michael out there as my hardcore mentor, right? Like, because I just had so many bosses. I worked at 3 different companies for a bunch of different people, and a lot of them were awesome. You know what I mean? And I took this from that one and this from that one, and I'm just the product of all that knowledge that they gave me and all the mistakes that I made, you know, kind of added up to where I ended up.
So for the 23 years, then describe that to us. Where did you go? Because you were under the RAC umbrella for the whole time, but
pretty much
under different companies under the RAC umbrella. Is that right?
Yeah. From 2000. I did make it to district manager. I started in 2000 as a car, you know, worked my way up to store manager, ran 9 different locations. And then I became, in 2006, I finally got promoted to district manager, in Orlando and Ocala and everything. So I had a pretty big area there. And then I was district manager for RAC for, 11 more years, something like that. I went to Acceptance Now for 3 years. I want to perform to win at Acceptance Now as a district manager. And then Paul called with the opportunity from Impact RTO, which was, you know, a big franchisee of Rent-A-Center. At the time, they were the biggest. You know, they've got 80 stores now. At the time, they had just taken on like 40 and doubled their size. And some of them were in Jacksonville, and he offered me the opportunity to go up there. And I worked there for 5 years. And then most recently, I had to move back for some family obligations to the other side of the state. So I'm on the market currently in that neighborhood as my old stomping grounds for corporate. But yeah, I mean, it was all under the RAC umbrella though. You know what I mean? So I've always kind of had the luxuries of the mothership and their systems and tools and everything like that. But you know, I'm open to the future and see what's going on down the road. But I couldn't trade what they provided for my family and the lifestyle that I've been able to provide. I mean, I couldn't be happier about the place that I chose to work.
I heard you say you made a lot of mistakes.
Oh,
right.
man.
And I do believe that experience is the best teacher, regardless of what happens. I think experience is the best teacher. Even if you have a great teacher, if you didn't make a mistake or if you don't make mistakes because you don't learn from them, then that's going to be the problem, right? You don't make a mistake. You don't learn from it. You can't win all the time and be the best teacher. I think you have to take a beating every once in a while. What's one of those times where you made that decision and you were like, yeah, I really screwed the pooch on that one. And more so, what did you learn from it? What did you take out of that craziness of a decision?
I'd taken over a bunch of stores and a lot of them were turds. You know what I mean? Like that was just better not, that's what it is. Right. Now, the toughest one I ever took over was 1,000 accounts. Killing it.
Wow.
Right. Just killing it. And the old manager was a tough act to follow. Right. Like he was a good friend of mine at the time, but I disagreed with some of the things that he was doing. Right. And I'm not saying they were wrong at this, right. Looking back on it, I'm not saying that we're wrong. Right. Because look, it was 1,000 agreements, was making a ton of money. Right.
Something was right.
Something was right. Something was very right. Right. But I was Mr. By the Book. I'm not going to do these things. I'm not going to retype these people. I'm not going to help them out when they're late. I'm going to do this. They're going to pay me on time. I'm not going to run this 2-day payment garbage. Right. Like there was things that were going on in the store that I thought, quote unquote, was wrong at the time. Right. So Mr. By the Book quickly lost 200 agreements.
Ooh, ow.
Off of this 1,000 account store that they were like, what is going on? Everywhere else this guy's been, he's been great. What's happened? What is going on? Get over there. And I mean, it almost became to the point where I was down to my own, like, what am I, like, cause the customers like, well, where's so-and-so? Yeah, he got promoted. He's not here anymore. I'm here now. Oh, well, I didn't really want like half the stuff at my house in the first place. He was just such a good salesperson that he got him to take it. You know what I mean? And when they struggled to pay, he helped them out. And who's to say he's wrong now? Because the thing that I learned was you can't come in and know right away anything. Like you got to kind of come in slowly, seek first to understand, then change slowly, right? Like, cause these customers were used to running and gunning, bringing in $20 on Saturday night at 5:00, and then making it be okay for their 3 accounts and this and that. They were used to that. But guess what? He got the money. By the end of the month, he got it. Right? That's what I didn't see at the time. I was dumb as hell. And I'm sitting at, all my whole career was just like rocket, boom, 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 fix this one, fix that one, fix that one. This is my big payoff store. They gave me the big store with the big bonus. And here I am killing this business, right? And I'm sitting at a dining room table with my boss trying to save me from the RD who just wants my head on a plate, right? And luckily he was able to talk him out and let me go. And I did learn that huge lesson at that point that, there's lots of ways to do this, right? And just because it's not my way doesn't mean it's not a great way. And I actually probably could have curtailed the things that I didn't like slowly. Say, all right, well, I know it used to happen and I'm going to do it this time, but next time, we're going to have to do it. But how about we find a different day for you to be due on? And how about we fix this account this way or that way? Not just hard line, like it's your fault, Mr. Customer. Like, we're
not doing that.
We're
here.
not doing these shenanigans. But I learned a hard lesson there that it probably set me back quite a bit. You know what I mean? Like they probably think, oh, this guy can't handle a bigger opportunity like that. You know what I mean? He's just a small store manager. And once you get that label, it's tough to shake it. And actually that is what you're either a big store manager or a small store manager. And you can become a big store manager if you are a small store manager, but you got to change. The manager is going to manage that store down to the size that it's going to be, that it's comfortable for them.
Actually, Danny and I did something called the sweet spot. And that one of our biggest things that we saw going around and talking to a lot of people and through the podcast, we saw there are people in their sweet spot and they will manage it to or up to their sweet spot.
Right.
And so I think the first thing that we talked about was finding what your sweet spot is, what level of SMR or PAR or ideal or whatever you have, your rental revenues. and then seeing how you can break that ceiling, right? Because you can bring a store down from 70,000 to 50,000 in a heartbeat.
Yep.
And then you're going, what the heck did I just do?
Right.
Or, you can get a guy who's in that $50,000 store and he's like, man, I'm going to make this work. And then everybody else going, how did you do it? For 5 years, the store never went anywhere. The guy there was doing, or gal was doing a great job managing. They just could never grow. And then all of a sudden, 3 months later, they've been growing $3,000, $4,000 a month. And everybody's like, what happened? Because they weren't in that zone. And it was like that sweet spot. It's good to know, hard to break, but a good thing to establish so that you can figure a way around it. Because otherwise, you're going to be stuck in that rut for the rest. Like you said, once you get kind of that mentality of everybody knows, yeah, he's going to manage a $65,000 or $75,000 store or whatever. That's kind of where they tend to leave you. And you start, the more you're in it, the more you kind of build those, you build the way you work around you. And then you find it even harder to get out of your own hole. And nobody wants that. I mean, you always want to grow, right?
If you want to make big money, you got to do big money making stuff, right? You can't run a big store like a small store, or it will become a small store. And you kind of adjust to where you're at, but if you want to, you have to constantly be pushing them that there's more people out there. Look, I heard on the last couple episodes here, you were talking to them about, and that every store has 1,000 customers.
Yes.
I would make the case that it's way more than that, right?
Probably.
Because every store that's opened, somebody, someday, back in the past, did a bunch of research to say, where would we need a store? We need an RTO store in this town. We need it. Where's the perfect spot to put it? Over here is our demographic. This is, if you look at a pin map, you know what I mean? Like, this is where we want to be right here. This is where the people live that are going to be our target base, right? Someone already did that. They said we can support a location just by being there. The store is going to exist. So it's up to us to get it up to the next level and the next level. But it'd be harder to find. If you go out right now into a crowd of people, it'd be harder to find somebody who doesn't want a big TV or a nice living room set or a beautiful dining room set like you have here, right? Like, it'd be harder to find someone who doesn't want a nicer laptop than it is to find someone who doesn't. But they're just sitting out there waiting for you to go and find them. Like, but sitting in the store, a lot of people just think they're going to grow their store just by sitting in it. Well, I'm here. If they wanted it, they'd come get it.
The foot traffic. It's the foot traffic.
The foot traffic's not here. Well, the foot traffic is not coming in.
Oh, God. If I could just
is that why you're failing? Because that seems like you would have a lot more time to go to your neighbor and say, hey, man, I know we're neighbors. How about this? I'm going to give you a 10% discount just because you're in the same plaza as me. And if you ever need things, send someone my way. I'll give you a free week on something in my location. You have a break room? Hey, is there a way I could hang up this flyer in my break room about this neighbor discount that I give? Hey, I see apartment complexes over there. Like, we got a lot of accounts in there. I'm going to go talk. You need to make best friends with the apartment people in the office. That's where the growth is. If the customers aren't coming in, go to where they are. Go to the Walmart part. How many customers would you have more in your location if you had someone spend 6 hours a day sitting in front of Walmart handing out a flyer all day long? Now, would that be more or less effective than sitting there making a bunch of telemarketing calls with people who hate telemarketers? Which is a better option? You're going to go to where the customers are. You go to the fast food place and put something up in their break room. Go to the apartment complexes they're going up. In Daytona, you can throw a rock and not hit one being built right now. What's going to go inside all those apartments? Furniture, appliances, technology, everything that we have. And who has the best way to pay for it? We do. So there is zero excuse for a store to not be as big as the manager will make it. But it's sitting and waiting for the customers to come in is an excellent way to starve.
Yeah. Yes. I like that statement. So taking all these years of knowledge and doing like you said, is that how we came? Just so you guys know, this story has been around, but we're going to talk about it now. Is that how you came up with the Jeffed Up story? So I haven't heard of the Jeffed Up story until I went to FRDA this year, right? And we're at FRDA and Paul Mativier is doing his thing up front. He's talking to us as the FRDA president, and we're kind of just going through things. And then Jason comes up and he's got his section of doing the Jeffed Up story, which makes a whole lot of sense, especially talking to you more now. describe to us a little bit about, I don't want to go into the whole thing, and you can if you want to, but like, where did the Jeffed Up story come from, and how did you come up and say, yeah, I need to put this in a story form where everybody can go, yeah, that's it.
The story was born one day when I was at a store and I saw this big scratch right up the middle of this brand new dinette set. Right? I see this big scratch and I'm looking at the manager, and his name was Brooks. And I said, Brooks, what the heck happened to this the table, man? And then he just took his hand and he pointed right at the scratch. He said, he jeffed it. I said, what do you mean he jeffed it? What does that even mean? He's like, anytime this guy touches anything, he's got hatchet hands. He's like hacking up all the furniture in here. He's breaking, he's scratching all the appliances. He's denting them up. I mean, that's like I'm paying him just to destroy this place. And I was like, yeah, man, that's right. Because now what are we going to have to do, right? We're going to have to drop the price on this dinette. We can't ask for the same price.
No, not even close.
Because who's going to want this thing? Just someone that's going to want it cheap. Right. But custom store managers don't understand the impact that has on their depreciation. Right. So I knew that they didn't understand that, because all they did all day was just slap the tag out of the computer that said whatever it said. Right. The computer doesn't have a nose. It doesn't have eyeballs. It can't smell the farts that are in the cushions of that couch that you got right there. Right. They got it. You have to make sure that you're putting a price on the product. Cause what is the RTO industry? It has this bad reputation, right? What is it?
It's the product that comes back that now you're trying to sell for a price.
It's a ripoff.
Yeah.
Right. Let's just say it. It's a ripoff.
That's what they say.
I heard it's a ripoff. Well, if you're just slapping the tag out of the computer onto the $1,500 tag onto the scratch dinette,
yes.
Yeah, I could see why people would get that impression, right?
Yeah.
Now, what I wanted to do was try to teach that to the people that basically you got to price things based on condition. And if you don't, and if you allow things to get damaged and then just put them out there, I wanted to show the damage that could do to your P&L. Like if you have to constantly reduce prices, you're not going to reduce the cost of those things doesn't go down like that.
Right.
Just the cost, just the amount of money that you're going to collect from it. So that Jeffrey story was born, and basically it was just about a guy was a great delivery guy. And the guy he had talent, right? Like he wasn't terrible. He just wasn't as careful as he needed to be. Didn't use the tools that we provided to make sure that the merchandise made it to the customer's house safely. And if it did, he definitely didn't care about it. But at some point we would be cheering him on, and I would cheer him on, like, go Jeff, go, and he would go out and get 5 stops done. Like you can't even get 5 stops done in a day. Nowadays, we used to do them before lunch.
Right.
Back when you and I were in the truck sweating in the white shirt and ties. Yeah. But nowadays it's tough to get them done. Even with the GPS and everything that they had, we had the big map book and we had to find L5.
Oh God, I missed them. You could always tell a good driver's book because he knew where his map was, and like he knew those are the bird names, those are the president names, or
right.
Is that over in that? Like they know where it was, and I missed the days because as I was delivering, I always had like a condensed route book. So I could like, yep. I'm over here, 2 streets down is, that house that I need to see, you know, and I would see it going, I would see it coming, just to see if they were there or whatever the case was. But so when you came up with the Jeffed Up story and you came up with the depreciation and how it affects your P&Ls and how it affects the store, how did you present that to did you get us to sit them all down and just say, this is the story of the Jeffed Up storyline?
I just made a PowerPoint and, found a picture of a guy that on, Google that I ripped off and screen capped it. You can still see the watermark.
I was going to say, I think you can still see the watermarks on it.
And he's got 2 thumbs up. A big smile. The guy was a nice guy. You know what I mean? And he didn't know the damage, how bad he was hurting the business. If he did, he probably would stop. And that's how we ended up saving that guy, you know what I mean? And showing him. And then the thing about the blankets and the strap, you always hear about it. Hopefully you hear about it all the time at the store.
Yes.
If you watch a guy just grab something with the dot, walk it across the floor, scrape it on the floor, and you don't say nothing, man. You're just silently approving that, and that's how it's going to be, and that's okay. You got to stop them every time. And again, it's like I said earlier, you got to show them why. You got to tell them why this is killing us. And that was the best way to get my drivers to understand, like, look, you got to take care of this merchandise. And if you've ever gotten anything delivered to your house, it's a big deal that day for that customer, right? Like the customer is like, ooh, can't wait for that new dining room table to get here today. You know what I mean? It's going to, and they're excited about their bedroom set that they're getting delivered, that they finally got their wife or their husband to agree to let them buy, right? And they're waiting and they go, oh, we're going to be there between 2 and 4. Okay, great. That's great. 2 and 4. I'm so excited. Oh, we're going to watch the TV. High five. Oh. And they get all mad. And then, you know, what happens? Guys show up late. They don't call. Right? They just, they say, what do you want? And they drag it in. They got it in boxes. Look, one thing, you cannot deliver bedroom sets in boxes, man. You can't. What are you doing? You're going to spend 2 hours at the store, at this house, unboxing everything.
Handles alone.
Handles
alone will take you forever.
Handles on it. Then you get to the last box and you open it up and the mirror is broken. And you just did all that building and all that styrofoam is blowing around in their yard and everything. And then they go, yeah, I don't want it, man. And you got to just drag it all back out. Now, if you built it the day before, you know what I mean? And you said, hey, I was opening up the boxes. We were putting your bedroom together. Opened it up. The mirror's bucket. I already looked at it. It's going to take about 2 weeks to get the mirror in. Do you want me to bring the rest of this stuff? Or do you know what I mean? Oh yeah, that'd be great. And then when they show up, they put the door jamb protector on the door, which most people have never seen one of those. But the customer's like, what is this? Oh, that's just to make sure I don't damage your brand new, beautiful bedroom set or your door jamb right here. I don't want to scrape it up or scratch it. So, and then you can bring it in with a blanket and a rubber band wrapped around it and you unveil it in the bedroom where they want it. And then you put, it's all put together. They can pull the drawers in and out. Then you take and put the mirror on and you wipe off your fingerprints and you put everything in the little tip over thing. You ask if you want to put that on. Which guy has a better chance of having that customer give him some money for lunch that day? And if I get a pizza delivered to my house and the guy shows up in a reasonable amount of time, I'm going to give him $5-7, something like that. But what am I going to give a guy that just brought my living room set up 3 flights of stairs? If it made it safely, they were professional, they were able to explain my contract to me, which we get into that. Like that's a whole new thing. Yeah. But, did they take care of what I'm going to be spending? Who knows how much to pay this off and how much time are we going to be working together to do that? If we don't deserve the money right off the rip because we just slapped it in the house or we didn't put it together or we didn't hook the TV up to make sure it wasn't cracked before we left, all those things add up to a bad business and a bad reputation and no customers. You know what I mean? So the Jeffrey story was put together to kind of get the guys to understand, like, look, if you put more of yourself into this, you're going to get more out. And if you do it right the first time, you're not going to have to go back. And the day's going to go smooth. You're not going to have people angry at you all the time. And then when I call them in a couple of weeks, when that first payment's due, they're not going to be like, oh, yeah.
As always, the RTO Show is proud to be sponsored by the Association of Progressive Rental Organizations. APRO is consistently participating, educating, and watching candidly over the RTO industry and has been doing so since 1980. Keep track of the current and future events, meetings, and legislative gatherings by going to the website at rtohq.com. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe to the RTO HQ magazine and newsletter. Also, if you're not a member, find out how to become one online at rtohq.com. And that is the end of part 1 to the Jason Winters podcast. Tune in next week for part 2 of the podcast. As always, follow us on social media, on Facebook and Instagram. Just look us up at The RTO Show. Also, if you want to reach out to me, it is Pete at the RTO Show Podcast.com. Or if you want to go online and check us out, it's www.thertoshowpodcast.com. And remember, you can always find us anywhere that you listen to podcasts, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or anywhere you guys get your podcasts. Just make sure that you subscribe so that you guys don't miss an episode. Thank you so much. And as always, keep your credit low to get your sales high. We'll see you next week.